So with the lip polishing, the first step, you sort of got to clean off all this fine black oxidation that just sort of comes up everywhere all over the lip. So I bought these little Scotch Brite drill bits that just go on the drill, and it was easy enough just to you know, mix it with a bit of water, like a wet and dry, and just sort of sit there and just go over it slowly. It took a bit of time, but this was the easiest way I could do instead of scrubbing it by hand. As you can see, it comes up pretty neat. Just give it a rinse so you can see where you're up to. But most of that little fine black oxidation disappears.
I really got to get these together today. So I've actually got new hardware. I've got Loctite. I've just got to finish off polishing the last two lips. These two are done. I just haven't had much time lately. This one here is just being sanded. I found the best way to do it was just to give it a good sand with these pads. With these pads, like a coarse one to a fine one. Oh, sorry. To a coarse one, then to a medium, and then to a fine. And then work up with the wet and dry to 2000. So I've got me layers here up to 2000 and just basically go over it. Then I was using the worn super fine so it's really thin, and just give it a good rub over at the end. And that was sort of the best finish I could get on it. So I'll just do this last one and polish them up and start putting them together. Alright, so once you've got them sanded pretty good, it's time to do the polishing. So I just got the 3-pound from a super cheap auto. It was only 30 bucks for the kit. So there's the first one, which is a cleaner, second one, which is a light polish, and then you got the mirror finish at the end and different wheels to suit it. So it's going to go from a dull sort of, it's still pretty smooth, but it's going to go from a dull to a mirror finish polish. So we'll see how that goes. I'll put it on time lapse. So that's the difference between the standard one, like a matte finish, to the polished one, which is nice and shiny. So I've done this one. I'm just going to move on to this one. Get this one done soon. So here's the finished product. The barrels, centers and the lips. So that's basically the wheel back together. And I've cleaned up the bolts. I've got this one ready. And the nuts were too gone, so I ordered some online. Some new M7 nuts. The bolts, I just cleaned them up. They were pretty good condition. So I'll keep them, they're the original ones. So I've got to put them together dry. Use threadlocker, you know, to put it through on each nut. And then they said the best way to seal them is to put a bead along here and a bead along that line and let it sit for a day, and then put a bead along the whole thing over the top the next day and let that sit for another day before you put a tire on it. And that's what they said is the best way to sort of put them together. Just making sure that that lines up with the valve. That's how it's meant to go. Yeah, now. So that's pretty much how it will look. It's pretty good. Now I've just got to fit it off. So putting together, just put a bit of thread locker on it, slide it through. So I've got the wheel together now. So I just got to torque it down with a torque wrench. Do it in like start from here, and just keep working your way around till it's all torqued down, and I can seal the top here. So as I said before, put a bead in this crack and a bead in this crack. So both cracks, put a bead in, let it sit for 1 day, and then the day after do a bead around both and let that sit for a day. Then you should be ready to put the tyres on. So I just got to torque these up now, and that's ready to seal. So I've torqued them all up. I'm just going to go around and check them all, make sure I've got them all up right. So I've got this one torqued up. I actually slipped with the spanner and already dented the wheel. It's not a bad one, but I could probably just give it a quick sand and a polish up. Apart from that, it wasn't too bad to do. So now I've just got to seal it. So I'm just going to seal, put a fine bead just on this crack here. Just going to smooth it out with my finger a bit, this first crack. Just make sure it's all sealed. I've done the first line of silicone on that crack. You can barely tell it's even there. Now I've just got to do this one and then let it dry for another day, and then seal both up. So I've sealed it on both sides now, and now I've just got to let this dry and then give it another seal through the middle tomorrow, and then give it another day to dry. Then it's ready to have a tyre on it. So I've got one wheel done. I just got to do the other ones now. It's going to take a while. So I just ran another bead around the gap and just put my finger through. So I've got two basic seals, one along each crack, as you can see on these ones. So I've sealed on the two edges, and then the last, like a second seal just at the top of both of them around the whole lip. So I'll do it to all these, and then tomorrow I should be able to fit tyres to them. So this one's done. These ones are a lot harder because they're such a tight gap, but these ones here are a lot easier because you can sort of get your finger right in there. But these ones you sort of got to try and get your finger, like really the point of it in there, and squish it down. Or you can sort of use your pinky, but I felt like my pinky was going to be dislocated because I was sort of dragging it like this. I felt like it was going to snap, but index finger, the point just sort of is enough to get in there. So that's sort of what I used. So I'll seal these up, and then that's about it. Just got to put your finger in there and just basically push it in. Make sure you get a nice seal. Make sure you have plenty of rags as well. It's a bit of a messy job. So as you can see, these ones with the open lip, it's a lot easier to seal. That's a nice seal there. Just got to do the other one here, and then they're all done. So with the valve holes, I just gave them a clean up. They're pretty good. So I put them back in. And I just put a little bit of silicone around the back here, just so it seals a bit better. As long as they're not cracked, they're quite rubbery still. So they should be pretty good. I'll just put a bit of silicone on the edge, just in case. So I just went down and got the tyres on them. So I'll put them on here, the rears. It's kind of what it looked like.